All right, so let's take a quick look at how to pull in 1K per month clients and look at the big picture overview. So this is a flow chart here. My name is Chris Muncher, and I essentially help people do stuff like this, automate as much of this as possible so that they can get sales for their marketing services and marketing products. And we have a bunch of our own as well, which we encourage people to use, and we can fulfill and all this sort of stuff. So this is part of our DropServe reseller platform. This is kind of a peek of like how we run things so that you can see this and you can apply this in your own way, right? So first thing is generating traffic. I'm not going to go into this on here, but there's different ways you can generate traffic. Could be automated, could be manual. In this particular model here, it's more about inviting people, dropping them an invitation, a message, right? Wherever that might be, email, okay, could be social media, that gets them to actually interact and allow you to invite them into the offers that you have or the product that you have, right? So it's really like a conversation starter. If you remove this, if you don't drive traffic, whatever that might be, then all of this magic isn't going to happen, right? And so a lot of people get caught up in trying to put all of this stuff together, figure out all of the technology, the systems, all of this stuff. It's kind of like a complete waste of time to do any of this, complete waste of time, unless you're actually driving the traffic, okay? So traffic is the fuel. And we often recommend don't even start doing any of this other stuff until you figure out how to actually reach business owners, invite them or discuss with them options that they could have to grow their business, do online marketing, that sort of thing. And so, if you do this, you will get some responses. Most people won't see it. People's inboxes are busy, so most likelihood is they don't respond, which is why we've got a lot of this follow-up stuff that when they don't respond, manual or automated, doesn't matter, right? It's making sure that you follow up, okay? Often it takes repeated contacts because business owners are busy, right? There's stuff I want to buy, right? And services I want to sign up for. Sometimes I'm just too busy to get back to people, I forget. So the guy that follows up with me, he's probably more likely to get the sale, right? So the follow-up is super important. And you're going to be handling objections a lot, right? So it comes in, people have a question, then essentially the question is often some kind of objection, and essentially you're going to respond. In our system, we use a chat bot, which you could put in an automated system so that you don't have to do anything. But the idea is it's more giving you ideas of how to respond to the question using proven sales techniques, using product knowledge, right? And just saving you a lot of time and also continuing the conversation. I might cover this in another video, this ARRR response technique, right? But that's what we use. Okay, the first letter means agree. Okay, as a little clue here, right? And so it continues to go through this kind of thing, and gradually, as they are essentially interacting with you more, they're essentially becoming more bought in and showing more commitment and interest in the product. So as they engage more, that they're more likely to either sign up, right, or take those additional steps. Maybe it's book a call, things like that, right? And so book a call in our system, it's optional because you could just let essentially the entire website do the selling for you, right? And so possibly at some point you invite them to submit their information to get a report or further information on what we offer. So you can do that. And then essentially when they do that, they're also in an automatic email sequence, right? And of course, it's going to be sending them through to the store, right, to buy the service, to view the sales page, all of these different things, right? And so this is for marketing services, which you could sell. Probably you want to build a list, right, where you can automatically email them. So that's just that part of it, right? And the idea here isn't you need to do something exactly like this. This is what we do. It's really just understanding the picture. That one of probably the biggest lessons here is that you might go around answering a few questions first and just kind of moving them and nudging them down this whole process. And so, whether they submit their information or not, at some point you might want to send them to the sales page, right? Or to the store, or even to blog content on your site, which also pre-sells them, so that you start giving them links to your website, right? And you don't do this at the very beginning because I feel that it's too aggressive. But once, they've asked a couple of questions, then often it's relevant of like, well, the information for that is over here, so go check it out. And then they go through to your store. The store can do the selling, right? And essentially they buy, right? Or you might want to qualify them because maybe they're not a fit. So you might do that at that stage as well. Okay, rather than sending them through to the store, you could instead qualify, or you could qualify them after, right? Where you're asking them some more questions because maybe the business isn't in a good state. It's not your ideal type of client, whatever the reason might be. But as again, you continue to go through, you'll notice the pattern that they're probably going to have questions that you're going to need to respond to. Okay. And so this just keeps on going. There's just lots of questions like, hey, what do you do? How do I know I can trust you? How much is it going to cost? How am I going to understand if I can get results? All of these different questions. And you want to have responses for them ready, and they're going to be unique to each person. They're going to ask them in slightly a different way, which is why the chatbot is really, really handy here, because it can give you the ideas of how to respond. And so you just keep on going down, right? And something which we found pretty useful is, at a certain point, let's say they've asked 6-7 questions back and forth over Messenger or email, whatever that might be. And at any point in here, you could also invite them to book a call, right? If that's something that you wanted to do, you can also retarget them right across Facebook, AdWords, YouTube, that sort of thing. But if the conversation goes on for a little while, they seem that they're showing a lot of interest. A good phrase I like to use is, what would you like to do next? Okay, because it gives them all the power, right? You're not trying to force someone into purchasing from you. The idea here isn't you're trying to get a business to buy from you and that's the be all and end all. For me, it's like, can I help this business with this particular marketing service, right? Is it going to be a fit, and can I get them results? Because if we can't get them results, what's the point in even signing them up? Because they're just going to cancel anyway, probably going to want a refund, right? And it's just, a painful experience. And so, that's also why you might want to qualify, right, to figure out if it's going to be a good client or not. But that's a question that you can ask. What would you like to do next, right? So some people, for sure, they just send people through to the website, right? Through to the sales page, through to the checkout. Don't bother about having an interaction with them, and then just let people self-select who then decide to purchase from the store, buy the marketing service, right? And so that's a model that can work, okay? But many agencies, many people who are selling to businesses, at some point, there's usually some interaction, or they start doing that because it's going to close more sales, and sometimes they even jump on the phone. And this phrase, what would you like to do next, it's very empowering for them. You're not being pushy, and they really tell you what they want to do. And then, of course, then you can discuss. And often this will raise objections like, oh, well, I need to do this, or I need to do that, or I'm not sure about this. Okay. Or they simply say, it's like, okay, I think I'll be ready to start in 2 weeks, right? But it's an important phrase because it's not pushy, but it puts it back on them of like, look, are you ready to move ahead, or is there something else we need to discuss? Because otherwise, a business owner can sometimes get trapped in just endlessly asking questions and not pulling the trigger, just because it's very hard for them. We have to understand it's very hard for them to make a decision on this stuff, because they don't fully understand marketing. They don't fully understand what they're buying. And there's a trust thing here, and they're never going to be able to fully bridge that gap. Okay. Because, just like you hire a mechanic, you don't know exactly what they're going to do with the car. You're going to have to trust them in some way, right? For a business owner, it's the same thing, but they probably had a bad experience. And so sometimes they can trap themselves in kind of this ongoing loop of just question after question, but not really moving forward. And sometimes they're just window shopping, right? It's like they like the idea of it, but they can't quite afford it, or they're just not prepared to take the risk to grow their business, which they need to do. And so this also kind of helps you sniff this out with that question as well. And also it shows the expectation of like, look, at some point we have to move forward. So I really, really like this particular phrase here. Okay. And so if they say, hey, yeah, I'm interested, of course you give them the link. If you do have an issue, where they're not ready to move forward, there's a lot of kind of trust issues, or, they're just like, I'm not too sure if this is going to work. You can offer a $1 trial or a low cost trial. That is an option. We don't do this because we really want businesses that are very, very committed. So it's rare that we'll do this, but for people maybe starting out or who don't have as many clients and need to build up a testimonial base, I really, truly recommend this. And it's exactly what I would do in that situation. Okay, is what I did many, many years ago when I started out. I would offer discounts, things like this, just to gain some momentum and gain some experience. Okay, so this is how kind of like the DropServe sales process works for us. Okay, it's just one way of doing it, but it works really well for us. And so hopefully that was useful just to see how all this stuff can fit together.